Hey, I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex.
I had a question about your iconic voice. Okay, in the earlier seasons, you had the distinct Bruce Wayne and the Batman voice. And as the show evolved, kind of around the final season of the animated series, you kind of like combined them into one.
Well, no, it's still different, but it's very subtle. You're right. Early on, I had that idea. I said to Bruce, Tim, wait a minute. He's the richest guy in the city. He's got the big house on the hill. Every woman wants to marry him. He's the most eligible bachelor. And he puts on a mask and no one knows it's him. I said, seriously? I said, couldn't I do a different voice? Couldn't I use my own voice? Or even lighten my own voice a little bit? And Bruce said, great. So the first few episodes, maybe the first 6 episodes, I used David Niven as my mental image for Bruce Wayne. I was thinking light, urbane, sarcastic. They put a lot of humor in it. And Andrea Romano encouraged that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. And it made the distinction between him and Batman really dramatic. And it made the disguise so much more convincing. But when you're in the early days of a new show, you're working from sketches. You haven't actually seen the full world that's going to be created. So when the first few episodes came back from the artists, because in the process of animation, the recording is done first. We get the scripts, we record, and then the recordings are sent off to artists. And then it's painted, well now it's computer generated, but it used to be painted. And then it would come back and there's a process called ADR, where you sync up the audio with the visual. That's the first time you see what the show's gonna look like. So when you're doing a new show that's never been seen before, those first 6 months of recording, no one's seeing any ADR. You're not actually seeing what the artists are doing. You're working from sketches. So when we got back the first ADR, everyone realized, this is really, really dark. This is painted on black. It's really noir. And suddenly this light, sarcastic voice of Bruce Wayne was jarring. It was too light. So Bruce had me actually go back and re-record some of the early Bruce Wayne stuff just to tone it down even more. And then as the show evolved, it was Bruce's decision to pull it back, make it closer to Batman. But he kept insisting there be a distinction, but he wanted it to be very slight. And I think it was his, I wanted it to be more distinct still, but that was Bruce's choice. And he just wanted the show to be very dark. Sure.
Hi, my name's David.
Hi.
Honored to meet you finally.
Good to meet
It's like
you.
one of my bucket list things.
Thank you.
So growing up, I always watched, I was born in the early 80s. I grew up watching like Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Silverhawks. And then when the animated series came along, I feel like were a big influence in the career that I have now in law enforcement, just because of the way you portray Batman as a character. Well, I've always also been very interested in the voice characterization, just work itself. Always loved different voices and playing around and everything like that. What would be your suggestion to look if you wanted to get into that line of work?
The question is, what would be my suggestions about getting into voice acting, how to get into it? The most important thing to remember about voice acting is that it's acting. A lot of people think it's making funny voices. It's
they
not.
all say
It's
that.
creating a
That
whole
is what it is.
character, but only being able to use your voice. But it's creating that whole character, making it so real, with all the contradictory aspects of human nature. People come up to me at Comic-Con all the time and go, oh, I'm gonna do you, listen to me do you. And they do a very convincing me. And I say, okay, now I have to kill you, because I don't want you to get my job. Or they'll say, listen to me do Mark Hamill, and they do a great Mark Hamill. Once you've established the voice, dozens of people can imitate it. But thinking of it, coming up with it, that's what you're paid for as an actor. When I went into audition for the role, they had literally seen over 500 people. Now, there are probably a dozen people among those 500 who could play the role as well as I did, maybe more. But they just didn't think in the audition to do what I did. What they're paying for in you as an actor is your imagination. They're paying for your creativity. Anyone can mimic. Not anyone, but a lot of people can mimic. So, my advice to people who want to get into business is join acting groups, take acting classes, develop your chops as an actor, because that's what you're going to need. Because when you go into the audition, you don't get a second chance to have a first impression. You know what I mean? You want to go in, and you just want to impress them. Because 9 times out of 10, no, 10 times out of 10, they don't really know what they want. They'll know it when they hear it. But I always go in, you've had this experience, I'm sure. I always go in and I say, what do you, give me what you're looking for. Give me some direction. What should I try? And they always say, oh, just show us what you got. Just take a stab, let's see what you have. So you're often shooting in the dark, going on, and it's just a luck of whether you make the right choice. And you learn how to make those choices from experience, from acting, you know? Often in playing a love scene, the most interesting aspect is how much you hate the person, you know what I mean? It's often the contradictions. Or if you're really angry in an angry scene, you're thinking how much you love the person. It's often the opposite. Like in life, it's often the opposite. And that feeds scenes. So I would say acting classes or groups that you can get involved with. Because as competitive as the business is now, and it's really competitive, they are always still looking for new voices. They like to get new sounds, fresh sounds. A reason they keep going to a lot of the same people is because those people are good, you know? Tom Kenny is good at what he does. Rob Paulson is good. You know, these people just come up with great, they're good actors, and they can do good voices. Mark Hamill's fantastic. So that's why you keep hearing a lot of the same people, because they're just so good at what they do. But they, believe me, they are always looking for new people. So give it a shot.
It's out there. We live in a great time now. You can produce your own stuff and from your own house and your own equipment, you know?
Yeah. Hi.
My question was, did you ever have a different mindset from the anime series coming into the video game? In the movie?
Did I what?
Did you have a different mindset?
Oh, from the shows to the game?
Yes.
Oh, boy, what a good question. It couldn't be different. When you're doing the shows, it's like doing a radio play, especially at Warner Brothers. They like to get all the actors together. So the bookings are fantastic, because you go in and there's like Mark Hamill, you know, or Roddy McDowell, or Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., you know, these amazing actors you're working with, all in the room together. Ron Perlman, wonderful actors, that you're bouncing off. And in 2 hours you do a show and it goes by, it feels like it's 5 minutes. It goes so fast and it's so much fun. The games, because of the way they're built and because of the way they have to be fed into a computer and the algorithms, they need every voice totally separate. Every take has to be totally separate. So I don't get to work with the other actors. I'm alone. So you're alone in a booth and you're working line by line by line. And you don't even necessarily know where the game's going, because there are lots of different ways it can go. They just give you page after page after page of lines, and you're trying to keep the Batman character alive in your head, trying to imagine the situation he's in, and you're alone. And then you're saying, you know, get out, get out, get out. Great, Kevin. Now give it to us with a smile. Get out. Get out. Keep the smile and give it a twist of irony. Get out. I'm not exaggerating. By the end of the week, you're like, you don't know how to speak English anymore. I mean, words just aren't coming out. And you're also trying to keep the character alive and imagine the situations he's in. So it's so hard. Building the games is so hard. And Arkham Knight took 2 years to build. I was recording it for 2 years. 4 hours at a time, alone, in the booth. Then you're given an hour for lunch, and then they bring you in for 4 hours in the afternoon. For a week. And then you go away for a couple of weeks, and they bring you back for a week. That's how they build it over time. 37,000 lines of dialogue were recorded for Arkham, just for Arkham Knight. And I felt like I had half of them. I mean, it's so, they can't train you in school. You know, even the theater can't prepare you for what it's like to record games. It's just so different. It's really hard. Some people are wonderful at it, some people just are terrible at it. Some wonderful actors can't do it because you don't get the feed from the other actors. You know, you're not getting the stuff that you're used to. You have to really juice it all yourself. So it's a good question. It's night and day.
Thank you.
Sure. Hey! Great tats.
Besides the dialogue, all the times you get punched and kicked and all those.
Hi.
My name's Jesse.
Hey, Jesse.
So the question I had is, with Mask of the Phantasm being a theatrical release, did you have to work harder on it than you did for the show?
No, you know, whenever I approach the character, I approach him the same way. I approach him, I have great respect for him, and great respect for the writers. So I approach the TV show the same way as I do the theatrical release movies, and the same way I did the games. I always approach the character from that moment of pain as a child, because that's what I think he's rooted in. So no, the way people ask me in a related sense, how has he changed over 27 years? How has he evolved? And my answer is always, he hasn't. The challenge has been to keep him consistent, to keep him fresh, to keep him real. Because I believe that you can hear a lie